What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I know this is probably surprising to you, but I've got a Gina Carano video. Well, a nice dub for Gina Carano, and I'm feeling good today. I had a full night's sleep. I bought the 600 series last night. I am feeling good. I am feeling strong, and it's because of all of you. Right now, over on Subscribestar, as the time of this filming, we are 82.9% of the way to securing basically everybody under the Quartering brand, which is my editor, Sean, my thumbnail employee, Ben, Maggie, my executive assistant, and Shammy, my editor who manages the website. If today is the day we get to this level, Subscribestar.com/thequartering. Help fight against cancel culture by insulating me, someone who consistently fights back against it, and my staff. I will be eternally grateful. Now, huge dub for Gina Carano, because it should actually be Gina Carano. Carano? I don't know. She's looking good in the new photo shoot, but that's not what this video is about. Obviously, everyone knows I am Gina's biggest simp. She has far surpassed Brie Larson, in my opinion. And she's also, we've been talking a lot this week and has said a lot of really kind things to me and just sent a lot of really just the kind of positivity you wouldn't expect from a Hollywood person, especially someone who has had such a raw deal over the past couple months. But I'm here to report. And by the way, if you haven't yet, smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're watching me on Odyssey, or you're watching me on BitChute, or you're watching me here on YouTube, there's a subscribe button somewhere on your screen. Here on YouTube, it's like down there, I think. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe today. Help join the army of people fighting against cancel culture, and keep this channel growing. Now, there was a new poll conducted by Neil Newhouse of Public Opinion Strategies, and it was exclusively released via the Daily Wire. This was yesterday. Exclusive poll: majority of Americans less likely to support Disney over woke politics and firing of Gina Carano. Americans are rejecting Disney's dive into woke politics and disapprove of the firing of the Mandalorian standout Gina Carano. Exclusive polling data has found, quote, corporate America's lunge into wokeness and cancel culture might hit a bump in the road given a recent reaction to Disney's recent actions. Pollster Neil Newhouse of Public Opinion Strategies concluded, asserting data from a recent survey conducted from February 26th to March 3rd. And that date range is important. It's not like it was right in the heat of things where everyone was emotionally reacting. These are people reacting well after the fact and still having strong opinions. Among other recent Disney news, participants of all three stripes, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, were asked questions concerning Disney's ties to China, the company's threat to abandon doing work in Georgia over pro-life legislation, and the recent firing of Gina Carano over allegedly offensive social media posts. Notably, participants were shown in the social media post in question from Carano. They were shown it and overwhelmingly thought the firing was unjustified. 72% to just 28%. Now, we don't know what the numbers were, right? Was the poll 1,000 conservatives and 1 independent and 1 self-described liberal? We don't know. But for sake of, what should have been done, it should be essentially 33, 33, 33, right? So this is not just Republicans. It's not just independents. It's not just Democrats. This is the overwhelming majority. Quote, with at least half of Americans opposing each of Disney's actions tested and also being less likely to watch Disney programming, companies may be wise to slow the stampede to wokeism. Newhouse detailed, the data clearly shows the actions like the ones Disney has taken recently definitely have the potential to negatively impact its bottom line. When first asked, Americans were found to oppose Disney's decision to fire Carano by a 58 to 42 tick, including a majority of Americans across all age groups, gender, ethnicity. Majorities of Republicans and independents similarly opposed the firing, as well as 40% of Democrats. Honing in on Carano, the polling found that more than 70% of Americans believe the actress should not have been fired after assessing the social media posts for themselves. After reviewing the posts, 28% said Disney was right to fire Carano. 39% said it may have been poorly worded, but she did not deserve to get fired, and 34% said they found nothing wrong with the quote and that Carano should not have been fired. The opposition to Carano's firing and held true with Democrats and liberals. Quote, after viewing the post, a majority of every single group tested, including Democrats and liberals, and 70% of Disney fans said that Carano should not have been fired, public opinion strategies have found. Notably, 61% with less favorable impressions of Disney identified the firing of Carano and other cancel culture actions actions the company has taken recently. Look, there's been a lot. It goes on to say, some of the comments from the participants included Disney defending the use of sets near the camps in China, them firing people for having different views than the boss. They are yielding to woke culture activism. They are developing a full-blown cancel culture. They cave to liberals of the cancel culture. If she had liberal views, she would have been hailed a champion. They fired an actress who dared to be conservative. I've said this. I haven't asked Gina this outright because I still find it, maybe, call me like old-fashioned, but I don't think it's anyone else's business what my personal political affiliations are. If you know me, like you're one of my friends, you don't need to ask me. When somebody on the street were to ask me, that's none of their business. I've noticed that the Daily Wire keeps calling Gina a conservative, but I've never heard her refer to herself as that. I've often said, based on my assessment of her political views, she's an independent. And I'm sure that she is still, she's very liberal in a lot of her points of views. The survey also found that 64% of Americans opposed Disney's decision to close down popular rides at its theme parks after activists said the ride had spicy or bad origins and messages. Only 36% approved. Notably, Africans of color also opposed the decision, as well as 60% of Disney fans. This is so painfully obvious. We all knew this. The idea that these elitist white liberals are constantly being offended on behalf of the black community or the Asian community or whatever community is financially beneficial to them, it doesn't connect. Like the idea that I could go to the south side of Milwaukee and talk to members of the Latino population and ask them if they liked Latinx, or I could go to the north side of Milwaukee and ask black folks if they want me to call them people of color. There's no way your average black person wants to be called a person of color, or even African American. I just don't think that that's normal on the streets. Same thing with Latinx. It's absurd. Now, maybe I'm just dead wrong, but I have a feeling that if I went down and talked, to people in the street, they wouldn't have any clue what person of color even meant. They wouldn't want me to call that. To me, it sounds degrading. Again, it's just another way to say non-white, right? In the same vein, Americans were predictably displeased with the company's political correctness. By a 65 to 35 margin, Americans believe companies like Disney have taken political correctness too far, including a majority of every single age group tested. 90% of Republicans. Why are Republicans the political party that I don't want to just say, I don't want to oppose PC culture and be forced to call myself a Republican just for that. The liberals used to push back against this. What has happened to liberalism? Liberals used to be free love and anti-censorship and anti-corporation. Why the heck is that now a Republican position? The world has gone completely inside out in just the last 10 years. By a 54-46 margin, Americans were also fond to oppose Disney's threat to cease doing business in Georgia after the state's government passed pro-life legislation. Again, that's a hot-button issue. I, for one, am pro-choice, but I would never tell somebody else what to do with their bodies. I don't think the government should be doing that either. That's a decision that you have to live with, and therefore you should be the one to make it. Additionally, a mere 25% of Americans said, I'm sorry, I didn't word that right. I'm pro-choice because I don't want the government to legislate what people choose to do with their bodies. I personally would consider myself pro-life, but I don't want the government to have any problems. Does that make sense? I just wanted to be clear on my position there. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not judging anyone else for the decisions that they choose to do with their body because they're the ones that have to live with it, the consequences of it, right? 47% of Americans believe that Hollywood is biased against Republicans and conservatives, including 75% of the conservatives themselves. Well, that's not shocking. Bringing in the most agreement data shows that a stunning 84% of Americans oppose Disney's decision to film movie in China as the communist country allegedly engages in, well, what we know, what they're doing with the Uyghur Muslim population. Disney's recent actions were found to make a majority of Americans feel less favorable to the company and less likely to watch Disney programming. After hearing about the actions Disney recently taken, fully 60% of Americans say they have a less favorable impression of the company. 58% say they are less likely to watch Disney programming. I don't disagree, obviously. I know how I feel. I'm less likely to watch Disney programming, and I'm exceedingly less likely to give Disney any money. There are certain things I have to watch because I report on things. I don't expect everyone in my audience to cancel Disney Plus and sit and stare at the TV while their kids cry because they can't watch their favorite Lion King movie. I understand if people need to keep their stuff, you know. I'm not going to judge you for that. But I know how I feel, and I have almost no appetite to giving these morons any more of my hard-earned money. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.